But go ahead.
All right. I'm also figuring this out in real time. So if I don't have a perfect answer to what any sort of clapback that you have, that's okay too. But I'm curious, like, do you ever think it's justified to advocate, or I shouldn't say should, do you ever think it's justified? Do you think generally it's okay to justify using a rule that you disagree with in general and that should not be applied to anyone against someone that you don't like?
No, I think we have to be. That's like a big thing I try to maintain on. Yeah, it has to be like. Yeah, have you ever heard the saying, "There are no bad tactics, only bad targets"?
No, I've never heard that.
Oh, okay. You can guess what it means. You like listening to it, right?
Can you explain it to me? Like I don't understand at first.
There are no bad tactics, only bad targets. Meaning we can do whatever the fuck we want as long as we're targeting the right person. That's essentially what it means.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
got it. So that's something that you disagree with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Then help me out here, buddy, because I thought you disagreed with all these rules about and everything that they shouldn't be applied to anybody.
I disagree with those rules. I guess there's probably going to be like 6 categories of rules, which is going to make it feel like I'm carving out an exception for everything. There are going to be some rules that I disagree with, but I will still be okay with their enforcement. And then there are going to be some rules that I probably disagree with that I don't ever want enforced. So that might be 2 buckets of things. So like, for instance, I think if you want to call people racial, fuck it. Like, we have an ignore function. If you want to block somebody, you can block somebody. If you want to mute it, you can mute it. But if people want to fuck it, racial, like whatever.
That should be
However,
allowed.
no, I didn't say that should be allowed.
Okay.
Well, in my perfect world, they'd be allowed. But if platforms want to ban racial, I'm okay with that rule being enforced, right? Like, if you want to say like no N words, no F words, whatever on my platform, yeah, fuck it, sure, that's okay.
Can we stop right there? So
Yeah,
like,
go for it.
help me understand that part. In my perfect world, this is not a rule that's enforced, but I'm okay with platforms having that rule.
Yeah.
Explain to me the difference between those two things, so that I'm not
Like,
very,
these are how
I'm not
I
getting
wish
nuanced.
things were done because it would make me the happiest. But there's enough wiggle room where I think I can tolerate a difference of opinion here.
Okay.
Maybe so. Yeah. I don't know what analogies I could draw, but yeah.
Maybe an
I won't go.
analogy would be helpful, because I would think that if these are rules that you
Like, let's say
wanna
I have a
take
nudist
on, right?
household. We're all nude in in my household. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But if somebody, and I wish every household was a nudist household, but let's say that my neighbors are not a nudist household. When I go to their house, I'll wear clothes. And I'm okay. Like, if they want to do that, that's fine. I wish they'd be nudists, but if they want to be clothists or whatever the fuck that is, they can do that.
But if okay, but I'm gonna I'm gonna add a wrinkle to the analogy here.
Yeah.
Let's say that you walk in fully clothed in the non-nudist household,
Yep.
and a fellow nudist walks in nude into the non-nudist household. Do you think that you should be like talking to your non-nudist friend to be like, hey, this nudist, I'm also a nudist by the way, but this nudist is in your non-nudist household, get him the fuck out?
I mean, that'd be kind of weird if you would do that. But I guess you could. But that'd be kind of feels like a little like a tattletale,
It
though.
seems like by being an implement of the enforcement of some of these rules that you disagree with at base, I think that I think you're opening yourself up for accusations of arbitrariness and hypocrisy.
Sure.
That is, like, maybe there's a nudist that you don't like that walks in, and you think in general it's okay to have a non-nudist house, but you're gonna squeal on the guy who's your friend who's a nudist as opposed to the one who's not your friend who's a nudist. So you can get those accusations if there's a lot of nudists in the non-nudist house, and you're just pointing out the ones that you think are the baddest actors, the ones that you disagree with the most, or the ones who have wronged you in other places before.
Yeah, I mean, like, there could be like an arbitrary usage of this in a way that's not good. To flip this back on you, something that I think you've hardcore disagree with in chat that I would disagree with you on is I think people can do this with DMCAing, for instance.
Yeah, so sort of put that out for me. Give me the full.
So like
expression of
somebody
that.
might say that like, oh, like this guy, it's probably not good if you're DMCAing people because you don't like the critiques that they're making of you, even if they are abusing your copyright, if you generally just leave your copyright alone and you don't care.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think it's probably not a good thing. You probably shouldn't be selectively DMCAing people based on whether you like them or not.
So isn't it? So if you go after people for, but you don't want yourself to go after. If there was like a friend of yours that was using, you would never report them, right? You would never tell your, like, let's say that you gave an example of a.
There's
Discord,
well,
like, yeah.
Yeah, I understand where you're going. So this is something that's a little bit difficult too, is there's going to be like a natural proximity effect or locality effect based on based on where you're at, right? So like, let's say for instance, I there's like a Discord server peripheral to me and somebody's like, and they're like spamming me or whatever. And you're like, oh, fuck that. Let's report those guys or whatever. Then let's say somebody says, well, hold on. There's like 3 other Discords that are spamming you that are like Chinese Discord servers or some shit. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even see those. And like, well, you're not applying it. You're not applying it consistently. It's like, well, no, I'm not even, they're not even in like my view, right? There's going to be like some level of proximity to like where people are and how people are interacting with each other as well, I think too, right?
So the one response might be, I think that's a good one, is that these aren't equal scenarios. And so you're doing a comparison that's like not on point because they're different situations. And so either I didn't hear about the Chinese server or I didn't, for whatever reason, Hasan's server is worse than what's going on in these Chinese servers.
Sure.
What if they are the same? If they are the same and you were aware of both.
So like, let's say that I have like, so like, let's say Mr. Girl's server was spamming Gusano at me and Hasan's server was spamming Gusano servers at me like that. You should probably feel the same way about both then, right?
Yeah. But you only go after, let's say you only go after Hasan. If someone accused you of hypocrite, would they be right?
In that sense, it would seem like it, yeah. I'm assuming that the scenarios are exactly equal, and people in like Mr. Girls chat aren't just calling me Gusano as like a playful, like fun thing, right? But they're actually doing it out of vitriol. I mean, you'd probably be a little bit more charitable. Like I might personally reach out to Max and it's like, hey, could you do something about this before like reporting? Whereas for Hasan, I might just say fuck him. But like at the end of the day, it should be the same standard, yeah.
Here's what I feel like, buddy. I think that there's a gun in the room, in this hypothetical room.
Mm-hmm.
You point out the gun and you say, no one should ever use that gun. In general, no one should use that gun.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever use that gun on someone in the room, I think that you're opening yourself up for that accusation. Because
sure, but it also depends on what the gun is too, right? Because like when I initially speak about like when I'm talking about like mass flagging or mass reporting, my understanding is, especially in regards to what big tech did, it's going through somebody's entire catalog and reporting everything to see what sticks. This is what people used to do on my Twitter. That's why I would spam delete all of my tweets, because people would just mass flag the account. They just go through and start reporting every single tweet to see if anything could hit, right? I'm not saying that I'm against reporting ever, right? Like there are probably some.
I'm going to ask you a harder question.
Okay.
And I'm not going any particular way. I don't want to use any specifics here.
Okay, go for it.
But the kind of conduct that you're describing is going through someone's past and history, their catalog, their repertoire, and going through to see if you can find dirt on them and if you can fuck them over in the eyes of the public or in the eyes of these platforms.
In terms of like trying to spam reports, yeah, go for it.
Haven't you done that before with people that you dislike?
With who?
With people in that you've gone after, right?
We'll just say a name. With who? You're clearly thinking of somebody.
Is Bob 7 an example? But that one's a bad example because that's like all stuff related to the incident. Well,
yeah, and that has nothing to do with mass reporting. I'm not generalizing and say you can never go into an individual's
Do we have
past.
to go into specifics? Or would you like to go into specifics?
Well, yeah, but like going into an individual person's history is a lot different than mass flagging. Or we're trying to draw like a really general rule here.
Well, suss out the difference for me. I mean, you seem to take issue with like going hard into someone's history.
No. I don't care about going hard into someone's history. Okay. What I care about is trying to like flip an algorithm on somebody to get their shit banned. That's what I'm talking about. Not like you can attack people for stuff in their past. I think that's fair.
So you're okay with like social canceling based on someone's previous history?
I
think that you would agree with like it's kind of messed up. People have, especially now with a lot of Zoomers and younger people, they've put stuff out on the internet for a long time, and we feel it's like very unfair. If I were to go back in 2013, 14 Destiny.
Yeah, sure. I would say in general that's not okay. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Yeah.
Like people grow, people change, and people should be given the opportunity to grow from their mistakes. And I think kind of your cynicism towards the mass flagging or mass whatever is a kind of belief that people change, and that could be representative of a different person, or it's just not fair to hold someone up to that standard now.
I don't even know if it's that ideologically driven. It's more like a tech thing. Like if somebody legitimately has like a lot of fucking horrible shit that they've done in the past and somebody reports them for it, I don't know if I feel the same. Mass flagging is rarely like a good faith like takedown of somebody's stuff. It's usually just like trying to do whatever you can to get somebody banned from a platform. That's why I view it as like a nuclear switch, not like a
Got it. That more having to do with like people. It's very hard for the creators themselves to conform to changing TOSs in like the future. So if there was some content that
like,
used
let's
to
say
be
like a
okay with
TOS, let's say that like right now a TOS changed and they said
Yeah.
no more swear words, and somebody's like, oh shit, I'm gonna go spam report every single Destiny video with a swear word. That's like
Right,
you're like
yeah.
mass flagging somebody just try to get them banned. Like you don't give a fuck about like.
But what if it was always against the TOS to do whatever Mr. Girl was doing? Would that change anything? Of like, if it was always against TOS.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, I'm not saying that I think a lot of these rules are stupid, but I'm just
Sure.
trying to like shore you up in terms of where you're at. I think that if there was a certain level of harm or a person that you disliked enough, are you telling me you wouldn't ever tell people to go spam report anybody?
Like go through and mass like flag all their shit.
For
I
all
don't
their
think I've
past stuff?
ever done any of that before. I don't think I have.
Would you?
Would I?
If there was someone who's
If
so
I got like
antagonistic-
nuclearly like fucked off the internet, then maybe I would go. But that's literally like a suicide bombing scenario. Like I would understand that it's just like me acting out and I'm like fuck everything. But like in general, no, I don't think I would ever advocate to mass. Like I haven't done it for any of Kethel's stuff. Like maybe we could have for some of her YouTube or Twitch stuff, like go through and mass spam report everything. But I've never like advocated for that. And she's probably the person I would hate the most or hated the most, right?
Right. So there's what are the lines for you then? The lines are you'll report people for when it suits you, right?
Report people for when it suits you. What does when it suits you mean?
When
If somebody is legitimately using in like a fucked up way in a Discord and they get reported, I don't really have much sympathy for it. Like if people do it and it's fuck whatever, I don't care. And then if you want to do somebody's at you, that's probably whatever. Like that's a pretty big like TOS break where we're at in 2022. Like it's pretty obvious you shouldn't be doing that. It's pretty stupid.
Okay. So that's not really you would if someone were to like report a channel that you liked for doing slurs, you wouldn't have a problem with them like organizing some sort of movement to like get people off a platform because of slur usage.
Organize
Say Twitter, for example.
Damn, I don't hold on. Now you may organize a movement. Like I'm just talking about
Or like-
reporting
or like they're
videos right
saying
now.
that-
Organizing a movement implies like way more
let's
social
say
pressure.
Twitter.
It's a way different thing. What?
Let's say Twitter. I mean, you're on Twitter. You said you have the big following, and someone.
Let's say somebody on Twitter calls somebody the N-word, and you're like, "Fuck you, I'm reporting you." And let's say even you Twitter, like, "This guy called this to the N-word. That's fucked up. Like, report this guy." Like, that's
Or how about misgendering? Someone misgenders someone
fuck.
else.
That's such a. Why do you have to go to the most contentious issue? Like,
What's
well,
that?
what if somebody doesn't respect somebody that believes in ghosts? Is that a religious violation? I don't know. It gets the trans stuff and everything else is like way more complicated. But for like clear stuff like slurs, like I would say that like yeah, if somebody reports somebody for slurs, it's like oh this guy called me the N-word, report him. Like I wouldn't. That's not like mass flagging, and I think it's probably an okay report.
All right, so it's how you use the rule, not the rule itself. It's the intended usage of the rule.
Well, it's
but
also, I mean, like, if somebody's literally calling you I think whatever rules we're drawing, you're probably okay to report the person at that point. I think that's probably fine.
There are for gay people and sexual minorities, and
Yeah, and if there was a server spamming fat me, I would probably mass report them too, or I would tell them, I'd be like, yeah, fuck, report the server. And especially if the server's condoning it, yeah. And if my server was doing, I told Hasan that same day, yo, if you want to go through my server and a whole bunch of people are like calling people, go ahead and report it. That's fair. That's a fair game. I said that every single time. I was like, hey, if you want to report Hasan's server, because they're literally all calling me a fucking. If you want to come into my server and you want to report it because you think we're using, then that's fine. Go for it. I totally welcome it. I said the same thing.
is ban evasion one of those rules where it matters the severity of the ban evasion or why they?
No, because nobody actually gives a fuck about ban evasion. That's like a thing that people. That's like a tattletale report.
So you would never tell people to spam people for ban reporting, or that you think that no
if
one
I'm
should
doing
be-
it, it's literally just to be pettier because they're trying to get me banned. But like principally, no, I don't give a fuck if somebody's ban evading on a Twitter, right? If they tweet some other fucked up shit, then that's something that I would care about. But like just ban evading, like stupid.
All right. I mean, that was kind of the extent of my questions. I think that like it's important to have a good sense for yourself about what are your lines for using TOS against other people or using the report function for other people. You've already said like it's not okay to use copyright in that way. Before I think you've used copyright against Sargon of Akkad, if I recall correctly.
Yeah,
for
kind of.
criticizing you?
He did a big video criticizing me, which I was fine with. But then there were 4 smaller videos he made where he just like straight copied my shit, and then he gave them really stupid fucking titles, and I DMCA'd it. I wouldn't do that today because I don't think I feel the same way today about using that. But yeah,
So that was the wrong thing to do. You,
yeah.
after all these years, you admit that was Sargon
I've
was
already
right,
said
that
that's
you
the
were
wrong
being-
thing to do. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. No, legally, I don't know if it was right or wrong. I still
Yeah.
might be on the right there, but yeah, no, I don't think I would DMCA people that do shit like that anymore.
Okay.
But I think legally, I'm super within my rights to do it. But
Oh yeah, I think so. Legally, I mean, like, it can actually be detrimental to certain claims if you don't protect.
well, I
your,
think that's when you get into trademark protections and stuff.
yeah,
more
yeah.
than-
Intellectual property in general. Copyright is it's very strong in the world and provides you a lot of protection for a lot of time. But you know, I'm glad that you think that copyright shouldn't be a tool of silencing people who disagree with you. I think that that's one of the things that I think Nick said at one point, right, where he was telling people to.
Yeah, he was
Just
supporting
ban people for copyright.
the one guy for copyright, Ralph for copyright striking people. Yeah,
All right, you doing okay, man?
yeah, just chilling.
All right,
Okay,
have a good night, man.
I love you. Be careful, babe.